Now at 10, the U.S. men's national team is taking on Turkey right now in its final group stage match of the World Cup. Thanks for joining us on the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Priscilla Meza. The result won't impact the standings as Team USA has already clinched a spot in the knockout round while Turkey has been eliminated. But even so, anytime America's best athletes are featured on the world stage is reason enough to throw a party. Fox 61's Tim Latow is live above Pratt Street with more from fans and organizers. Tim.
Yeah, Priscilla, there is a crowd numbering in the hundreds down below here. And up here, you don't just hear their chants, you feel them. It has certainly been a summer of soccer so far, but these massive events also come at a cost.
It's just a great environment. Make it feel like we're there at the venue.
Pratt Street is as close to Inglewood, California that Connecticut soccer fans will get to Thursday night. They say there's no better place to gather to watch the U.S. men's national team take on Turkey at SoFi Stadium.
America loves a winner, and right now we're winning, right? So the team's doing their part, right? So we just have to do our part to support them.
Micah Kerr is the vice president of the American Outlaws Hartford chapter, a group that works to enhance the fan experience of soccer fans in the U.S. He says it takes a real team effort to be able to raise enough money to put on events of this magnitude.
So we considerably increase police presence at great expense. I mean, this stuff doesn't cost nothing. So there's a lot of fundraising. We have community sponsors like Hartford Healthcare, LAZ Parking, Lexington Partners.
Pratt Street is staffed with public safety members who volunteered to be paid overtime. They can accommodate a crowd of 2,000 and have the ability to bring in backup. It costs a whopping $5,000 per night just to rent the big screen. Organizers hope to be able to collaborate with other groups to have events on Pratt Street in the future, like the PGA Tour's Travelers Championship and the LA 2028 Summer Olympics. But the parties will only be able to continue this summer as long as America keeps winning.
Unfortunately, all we could do was raise funds for the U.S. Games. We had a bigger goal. I'm going to be honest with you. We were disappointed it didn't happen, but we're hoping to kind of make that a legacy event from this World Cup. We're hoping to continue to do with some fundraising.
So how long will Team USA last in the FIFA World Cup that culminates on July 19th? Fans are hopeful, but staying realistic.
I hope far, but we know that's not happening. Maybe around the 32, they might do well. It depends on who they're playing, but like you said, go USA. But reality kicks in.
Team USA has already clinched a spot in the next round, while Turkey has no chance to advance, even with a win Thursday night.
They're already in, but I think we have something to prove because there's a lot of commentary saying we have a path to win the whole World Cup. I don't necessarily believe that, but I'd love to see that. That'd be great.
And as America's captain and star forward, Christian Pulisic, who's been sidelined with a calf injury the last 2 weeks, he was expected to play Thursday night. But no matter how far Team USA is able to make it, Kerr says he's already won.
I get to actually show up on a block party where there's 1,500 plus people cheering on my soccer team, right? And I've experienced that in Europe. I've never experienced it here until now.
Well, based on the reaction, it sounds like Team USA just scored a goal based on the crowd down there. Now, Team USA will play next Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. That opponent is yet to be determined, but what is certain, there will be another watch party right here on Pratt Street. Live in Hartford, Tim Latow, Fox 61.
Seems very lively out there. Thank you, Tim. And World Cup fever is building across the state, with fans packing a Manchester brewery for an all-day watch party and a rare FIFA trophy sighting drawing extra attention. World Cup energy is in full swing at Illicit Brewing Company in Manchester. Dozens gathered for multiple matches throughout the day, but what's setting this watch party apart is a special guest on display, the FIFA Superior Player of the Match trophy, the same award given to standout players during the 2026 tournament. For fans, it's a rare, up-close connection to the global stage of soccer right here at home.
It's great because there's a lot of different cultures. We have fans from all teams coming, so it's been really cool to see kind of everyone unite together and just enjoy the game.
I wasn't expecting this, the USA being a soccer sort of like, place that unite, so it's all about football and baseball and basketball, so it was like, oh, nice. Like, I wasn't really expecting this, so.
Soccer, local pride, and a trophy bringing fans closer to the action. And organizers expect tonight's USA match to draw the biggest crowd of the day. And now to a World Cup standings update presented by Nissan. In Group E, Ecuador advances after pulling off a major upset by defeating Germany. Germany had already clinched a spot in the knockout round despite the loss. Ivory Coast also punched its ticket to the knockout stage with a win over Curacao, which has now been eliminated. The Netherlands clinched first place in Group F with a win over Tunisia. Japan and Sweden played to a draw, a result that sends both teams to the knockout round.
All right, we have a weather impact alert in effect for tomorrow afternoon with the threat for an isolated thunderstorm. And I'm going to talk more about the window of time at that in a moment. But I wanted to show you we've got some rain heading this way, mostly after midnight with a heavier downpour, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder. But overall, we're just looking at mostly just some steady rain, which is great. We'll take it. It is beneficial for sure. So notice our rain chances really go up after midnight. It is a wet start to the day tomorrow. Then we will dry out as we head through the midday and afternoon with another chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm between 3 to 8 p.m. So I do think a lot of the day is dry, but it's a wet start and it could be a wet finish for some parts of the state. And even though it's only an isolated thunderstorm, any storms that do end up popping up have the risk of being strong with some gusty winds and small hail. So definitely keep your outdoor plans for tomorrow afternoon, but just make sure you have a way of getting weather alerts. We'll get a closer look at the weekend forecast and what we're keeping our eye on for Saturday coming up. Priscilla.
Thank you, Rachel. Metro North service is returning to normal after a fatal incident at the Southport train station in Fairfield. Police say a man involved in a disturbance climbed between two train cars, then onto the roof of the train where he came into contact with a live wire and was electrocuted. The incident happened around 1:30 this afternoon. A passenger told Fox 61 the train had left New Haven's Union Station about 45 minutes earlier.
That we were hearing noise, commotion. It's a train to New York City. It's not that unusual to hear sort of, something going on. Then when we came to a screeching halt at Southport and we heard a boom, and then we saw a small fireball over the train. Well, we evacuated and the police were there, Southport police were there, because they had been waiting to, from my understanding, to arrest this individual. They had this individual in that transition area between train cars. And perhaps when he saw the Southport police waiting for him, he tried to escape, but he went up and he was in the car that has the rack of high voltage. And so the second he made contact with that was the impact that we saw and heard.
The man was pronounced dead at the scene. All of the passengers were evacuated from the train and no one else was hurt. A community is coming together in grief. Dozens gathered in Manchester tonight to remember 3-year-old Akari Cortez, who died after being hit by a car earlier this month. Fox 61's Kate Pattyfoot shows us how neighbors are honoring her memory.
The pain here in Manchester is still very fresh as neighbors and community members gathered Thursday night to remember a 3-year-old girl whose life was tragically cut short.
Though Akari was only 3 years old, her life mattered.
A candlelight vigil was held at Center Memorial Park in Manchester. Dozens showed up to remember the toddler.
Tonight, we gather in remembrance of Akari Cortez. We thank you for the precious gift of her life. We thank you for the sparkle in her eyes, the joy in her laughter, the innocence of her spirit, and the love she brought to her family.
Manchester Mayor Jay Moran attended the vigil, and like many people at the park and in the community are still wondering, how did this happen?
I think, at first people started to ask questions, but I think the reality human side sets in and realize this is just a sad, sad story. We lost a 3-year-old, and there's people involved in that, including the driver, including the family, and so I think we're concentrating on that right now, and we'll let the reports come out, and we'll go from there before we judge anything. Right now, it's most important to keep all those involved close to our heart and our thoughts and prayers, because it is a very sad story.
Cortez was hit by a car on June 10th around 4:30 in the morning. Prior to her death, DCF was investigating the family after 2 reports of alleged lack of supervision. While questions remain unanswered, Thursday night was about something different. coming together, sharing memories, and finding a sense of closure. In Manchester, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
If you're out walking your dog in West Hartford, it is now mandatory for them to be on a leash. Town officials passed an ordinance Tuesday that requires all dogs on any town property to be leashed. Fox 61's Kayla Cade tells us more about the law and why they're doing this.
Town officials say they had about 100 incidents where a dog was off the leash and bit another dog or a person. So the reason behind this change is to make sure both you and your dog stay safe.
Dog parks are where your dog can roam freely. Like Gracie, who's here with her neighbor Charles Hennessy.
You trying to tell me something?
They usually come to the West Hartford Dog Park about 2 times a week.
Because dogs should be off the leash. It's good for their heart to run.
And he also takes her out on walks.
Well, in the backyard, she's off the leash, but as soon as we get near the sidewalk, she's on the leash.
Now, town officials like Rick Ledwith are making sure everyone follows the same stride.
On Tuesday night, our town council amended our town code to require that dogs on any town property be on a leash.
I actually think it's a good idea. I think it keeps my dog safe and all dogs safe, and children in the area safe too.
Mary Coco was out Thursday with her dog Callie.
I forgot to walk her at lunch, so we're out here to hopefully pee and poop, get a little bit of exercise.
She's a friendly dog who just wants to make friends.
And she gets excited sometimes, so.
But that's one reason why Coco keeps her on the leash.
There's the reaction. Well, that's why it's important that she's on the leash.
And why the town made sure to pass this ordinance.
There's no way to control your animal when it's not on a leash.
Animal Control Supervisor Kimberly Gulino says they received a lot of calls for dogs roaming around.
Turned into either dog versus dog attacks or dog versus person attack. And we had just gotten the numbers, and I said, we have to stop this. We have to figure something out.
Hennessy says he's heard of an incident like this involving a former neighbor of his and their dog.
She was walking in front of the house with her little dog, and this pit bull just came out of a driveway nearby and just attacked her dog.
And it doesn't matter if a dog is nice or well trained. Having a leash protects everyone.
This change is already in effect, so make sure your dog is on a leash when walking them on public property. Ledwith also wants to remind you to get your dog license at the town clerk's office. In West Hartford, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.